I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. So welcome to another episode of Clarified Moments, where we hope to bring a higher level of consciousness to your view, to your perspective, to your world. Well, we're back at it again, guys. It's been a minute. Had to go in the lab and do some things, but we're back. So hopefully I didn't keep you waiting too long. But again, we're just here to enhance one's ability to think rationally from a place of logic and reason versus emotion, to exercise critical thinking skills and criticize your own thoughts and remove warped views and perspectives that hinder common sense. Speaking of common sense, let's get into the video. As they say, common sense is not all that common. I was reading an article earlier, San Diego School District. I keep up with stuff like that in that area because my younger daughter's in that area. So apparently they held a white privilege training for teachers, which told them that they are racist. School district in San Diego, again, holds a white privilege training for teachers, which they were told, you are racist. And they were asked to comment on how to become anti-racist in the classroom. Now, full disclosure, I have to say this, apparently, this was voluntarily. So these teachers were supposedly volunteered for this training, and it wasn't required. Although I can only imagine if you're the one white person who decides not to go through with this training, how you're going to be treated. Also, Coca-Cola employees, they're training apparently now on how to be less white, to be less oppressive, to be less arrogant, to be less certain, to be less defensive, to be more humble, and listen and believe, and to break with apathy and break with white solidarity. Man, we got to stop this. Critical race theory concept, this white fragility. Like this book, White Fragility, I had a chance to read a little bit of it. And basically it says why it's so hard for white people to talk about racism. I think the book was written back in 2018, and supposedly it describes how being defensive or having these defensive instincts in relation to how white people react to being challenged about race. So let me get this straight. If I'm a white person and I get defensive about race, most likely being accused of being a racist or a white supremacist or a bigot or something even worse nowadays, like a white nationalist, whatever that means, then I'm guilty of having white fragility. It's just crazy. How are we even entertaining this? This is inherently racist itself, if not extremely biased and subjective. I feel like I'm living in a upside down theory. That's what we're living in now. We have gotten to the point in society where we actually feel like this is okay. Isn't this what happened in the 50s and 60s, where blacks were forced to feel inferior to their white counterparts? Is this not the exact same thing flipped on its head? I don't know. I don't claim to be the sharpest pencil in the box by any means, but this is clearly, there's clearly something wrong with this ideology. What are we doing? I think her name was Amy Cooper, which was the white woman who called police on a black man in Central Park over his dogs apparently or supposedly not being leashed, which is some sort of minor violation. She was fired from her job. She faced jail time and ultimately ended up apologizing for not being sensitive enough to racial issues, being a bigot or racist, etc., whatever else they can think of. And she also, which brings me back to my first point, had to take a race sensitivity class. or she faced jail time. So she was forced. Look, she could very well be a racist, but was Jussie Smollett, was he racist when he lied? Did he have to apologize or take a sensitivity class? Those that are using this payback, get back, or taking out some sort of resentment against white people, y'all tripping. Real talk. And those that are co-signing and really think you're actually being a part of the solution, you guys are crazy. You guys are crazy. Whatever's in a person's heart, it's going to be there until they decide to change it anyway. And how you root out those that continue to call people racist, even after the ones that are supposedly racist jump through all these racial sensitivity hoops. How you root out the ones that are not being genuine about what they're experiencing? It's all subjective. If I want to call you a racist, there's nothing you can do about it. You can jump through all these hoops. If I feel in my heart you're racist, then that's just what it is. And those white people, you white people, look, I'm talking to you. Look at me. You guys entertaining this. You even crazier. You cuckoo for cocoa, as they say. To be subjected to some sort of test that won't prove nothing. It won't help nothing. Again, if somebody already done made up in their mind that you're racist, so you're just doing all this for what? Y'all getting played, man. Y'all getting played through the form of a guilt trip for something you probably didn't even have anything to do with. It's like being profiled for being black, yet you being profiled for being white. It's the same thing. Having all these negative stereotypes attached to you because of your skin color. It's ridiculous, man. It's sickening. It's disgusting. Look, I'm going to leave you guys with this. Consequences are more important than the decision, because it's the consequence you have to live with, not the decision. So we out here just making decisions, thinking we doing something. Some people even said that this is the best decision in this moment, but the consequence of this decision, to act like this, to do these sort of things for corporate America, for society as a whole, for blacks and whites, the outcome is not going to be what's expected. Inclusion, unity, human decency, all this stuff this utopia that we're looking for, it's not going to be the outcome. And last but not least, for all of you biblical scholars, it's not biblical. It's witchcraft. It's psychological manipulation. That's what it is. Guilt trips, they come from emotional blackmail. Or in this instance, white male, pun intended. That's not how God operates. When we do this, we're not operating in the vein that God called us to operate in. When we do wrong, God disciplines us. He doesn't manipulate us. People, we need to stop this. We really need to stop this. And again, for those of us that are actively participating in this so-called activism, it's wrong. I got to call a spade a spade. It's wrong. There's no way that what's in a person's heart, there's no way that I can change it. That's not my responsibility. That's between them and God. And then again, like I said earlier, how do we know that the person that's experiencing this so-called racism, this bigotry, whatever the case may be, how do we know that they're sincere and genuine in what they're experiencing? Why is their experience validated versus the other person? It just doesn't make any sense. We all fall short of the glory of God. We all have sinned. Let him who's sinless cast the first stone. We got so many people out here just casting stones. You are a racist. You have to repent. You are a bigot. That woman in the park, like I said earlier, she might very well have been a racist. But come on, man. Real talk. If the same accountability is going to be held against her, then that same accountability needs to be held against those of us that operate in that same lane. Because black people can be racist too. I've said that in numerous other videos. And I'm just going to keep saying this until God called me home. I got to tell you what it is. I got to keep it 100 with you. And I know most people ain't going to like what I have to say, but it's cool because I've been called to give testimony to the truth, nothing else. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. And I believe that some of us that are operating in this know deep down in our hearts that it's wrong, that we shouldn't be doing this. So my prayer is that not only do the racists repent, but those of us that are promoting division and that have bitterness in our hearts, unforgiveness, resentment, jealousy, all these things that are being used in the fight against racism. These are attributes that these so-called activists have right now in this moment. They're operating in them. And we're just overlooking it. We're just acting like they don't exist. Come on, man. And I'm talking about from politicians to the grassroots activists. We have to examine our own hearts. And those of us that have a relationship with Christ, we got to go before God and we got to ask him to examine our hearts and remove those things that are not like him. And these things we know are not like him. We can't fight racism with racism. We can't fight hate with hate. We can't fight bigotry with bigotry. We can't fight resentment with resentment. I can go on and on. There's only one thing that repels all of those things, and that's love, wisdom, forgiveness. Real talk. You guys take care. Comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the video. Let me know if you're feeling this same energy that I'm feeling throughout society today. Am I wrong? Am I seeing through the wrong lens? I have a tendency to see through a different lens. You guys take care.